What's going on, my friends? I hope that you guys are well. Sorry about the shakiness. I'm trying to get this camera adjusted here, and it is driving me crazy here. We'll get it. All right, I think we got it. But anyway, just wanted to jump on. I hadn't checked down in a moment. I've been busy with so much. Just finished a brief and trying to get all I can for that brief, and staying busy with some other music stuff and various things with my life. It's a balance. You'll get it. It's like we all have that. We really do. Um, but like I said, I'm just finishing up stuff and just kind of every so often. It's kind of I talked about some time ago about setting goals and your yearly goals and plans, and I think there's a video I talked about that, and I can talk about it further. It's just I can't stress to write down your goals as much as you can. I mean, I've got my iPad. I cannot even speak correctly. My iPad, I have my Good Notes 5 that I write all my notes at on my iPad, and I can go back and edit and look at my goals for the like I just went over them, and like you adjust them, and you're going to do that. But write goals each year. Set what you want to do for each publisher, genres you want to do, maybe how many tracks that you want to do. Whether you achieve them or not is up to you. I already told you what my goal was this year, but will I achieve it? I don't know. If I don't, that's okay. That's why it's good to set goals. But if you are progressing, and that's what's important. That's what's important. Most important is you're progressing in the amount of tracks that you're doing here. So, like I said, I'm trying to get used to some things. I went back years ago. I had an Akai MPK 249, 49 key, and I got rid of it. I was like, all I need is my CME X keys, which is incredible. It's great for travel. But I've come to a point where I've got to have a mod wheel and some knobs to assign expression and stuff and an option. So I really love the Akai larger keyboard. So I went back and I got, if you can see here, this is it. It's a 61 key. And the reason why I got 61 is it's less of having to hit up down on octaves, because a majority of what I do is about the center portion of the keyboard, not the highest octave and the lowest. So it really covers the 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 majority of the octaves that I would play on, and I'm not a piano player. I can right hand the hell out of it, but I'm not a Elton John, Billy Joel kind of situation. I'm not that, but what I'm playing and what I'm doing, it's much easier to have a something shy of an 88 key, which is massive, and I'm not real good at getting weighted keys. Like if you're proficient and piano is your instrument, that's your thing, weighted keys. But I'm okay with semi or whatever. It's okay on that deal. But it's just it's a controller too, and you're doing percussion, various things on it. So you want that option to be able to do that. So, but moving on, what I wanted to get on and talk about was when you're setting goals is another shift of working on briefs. Some of you guys already get briefs from your publishers. You'll get them in, and sometimes you can do them, sometimes you can't. It's okay. Sometimes you can't do it. It's not your wheelhouse, and that's okay. It's always good to sometimes reply back to the publisher or library and say, thank you so much for this brief. I've got to pass. It's not my genre. And sometimes you don't have to. I have a publisher to ask me to, hey, could you please let us know if you're not working on it so we know who is, because they have a certain amount of composers they send that to. It's in a group of really the only composers right now they're working with in that particular publisher. And, each publisher is different. As they say, it's a service business. You do what they ask you to do, and it's a team, and they'll do what you want them to do is get your music placed, and that will. Speaking of that, I got an email today from a publisher that distributes to BMG, and I last year sent an album in of 15 tracks, and I gave him his Verse Dark Tension album. Not BMG's, but his. He sub-pubs into BMG. Let me clarify that. BMG has a lot of Dark Tension music. However, BMG's gotten 6 of the 15 tracks placed. And it was in Australia and France, I think it was. And how I know that ahead of time, well, this definitely places. There's sync fees came to me. Not a ton of money, as I've talked about. The sync business is not something. If you have a publisher that gives you sync fees, that's good. If they get them, and laws have come into place much more now with the Music Modernization Act. They really have to stay on top of that, of significant sync fees. But these weren't all that much. I mean, it wasn't much at all. But it's sync fees, I guess it's a scale. And I don't know with BMG if it's a blanket license scale or what it is. I really don't know on that deal. But they were fed through there was a split between BMG and them and then me. So I split 50% with the library. They split 50% of the sync fees, I guess. I don't know what the percentage is with them and BMG. I guess it's not important that I'm privy to that. It doesn't matter. It's just 50-50 with he and I, whatever that may be. And that's just the music business, and it's okay. But I get 100% of my writers with everything that comes down on that. So in a few quarters, when those 6 tracks come as placements, I suspect they're going to be pretty good, decent placements. It's pretty cool. And I know exactly which tracks because they listed the ones that they paid the sync fees on. So anyway, moving back to my point is when you're working on briefs, and I just finished one, and I wanted to talk about that because it happened to me, and it's happened before. I guess my first piece of advice is when you get that brief, don't promise your publisher a certain amount of tracks you're going to do for them. And I tell you this because no matter whether you're good at it or not, you may get another project you have to deal with. Life happens sometimes, or you may get to a point where I can't get any more to this brief. Either I'm burnt out or I just can't get another idea. I don't want to try to contrive it and pull stuff out to where it kills your quality. You don't want to do that. Now, in this case, it was a genre that I don't do a lot of, but it was in the rock and the guitar genre, but it was of a certain, it needed a Western outlaw feel to it. And I was like, God, what do I do with this? And I got to go out and I got to figure out, what do I do? I'm not a harmonica player. I'm not a horn trumpet player. All the things that are in outlaw westerns or stuff that gives you a vibe behind that. And it was like a guitar tension with that. And you don't want to go crazy with it, but just elements of different things. And the cool thing is that it said incorporate different cultures of music with that. Like if you want to other string instruments with it and layer it in, it's cool. And that was kind of cool too. I really don't know what they're pushing for, but it's there and it's cool. But I did 7, and my goal was to do 10, but I had other music projects I had to work on. This is the things that can happen. And I didn't tell him, hey man, I'm getting you 10 of them, because he could be expecting those 10. Just do what you can do, because there's other composers working on it, and get something to it and work towards it if you can. Like I say, don't struggle and contrive this stuff. It's got to come out. There is some work, as you know, with briefs to try to break them down and try to capture that vibe. But the vibe is captured in that one thing that's the center point of that track. In other words, this was guitar and tension guitar. So I started digging in keys, were minor keys, and got into some Locrian stuff. Kind of sounded like Led Zeppelin Metallica-esque sounding, but without sounding like those two. But you could feel it. Because they do a lot of stuff in Locrian mode. Black Sabbath definitely did, but it's just very minor. But trying to incorporate a beat in that. So what I did was I went out and found drum sounds from like a Western outlaw feel, and trying to get that where there's an old airy, thumpy kick drum and that snare that you get, and the type of reverb that they use. So trying to capture that. I don't know how well I did. I guess I'll see here when he emails me. I feel good about it. That's all you can do. But the cool thing is those tracks have a home no matter what, to go somewhere if they didn't work for him. So, but just don't, even if you work for a brief and they don't take them, I always said this too, don't take it personally. Don't worry about that. Listen, the best of the composers I know of get rejected. It's just not that it's a bad track, it just didn't fit exactly. I wrote a track for a publisher that I've been writing for years. I don't have a ton of tracks with him. He's picky as can be. I know one genre I can nail for him every time. I seem to do it, and it's stuff that makes on Animal Planet and Discovery. And I'm really good at tension. I do a ton of it, and I get bunch of placements with that. I mean, a lot of them. And it just didn't work for him. And it's okay. I know where it's going, and it will get placed. So I'm not even worried about it. But I wanted to get him. He gets a lot of submissions, so he's like, just send me one track at a time. Usually about the time he responds back, there's no time to do more. And I'm like, thank you. We'll try again later, you know. And I have a good rapport with him. I see him at the Production Music Conference every year. Hence, that's why a good thing is to go to these production music conferences, because I've gotten several contracts out of that, and have been able to get vase time with these people, a vase to a name, and have good rapport. It's something about sitting down in person, talking to these guys. You're able to get better communication and really get to know them better, and they remember that throughout the year versus to other composers when you send them music, and it's almost like you know them. So it's really cool. But anyway, I want to just brief that for a second. I didn't want to get on long, but just be careful when you're doing these briefs or a music request. Try not to struggle on that, because if you feel like you're struggling, you got to stop. You know, you got to take a break. Even throughout this brief, I had to stop and take a break, listen to it a little bit, go do something else, come back, and with a fresh set of ears. It's good to do. Take little breaks have always helped me. Go just clear your head, because you can get ear fatigue. When your head is in music for hours on end, you got to back out of it. You can get ear fatigue, and that is real prominent when you're mixing music. Mix engineers will tell you all day, take breaks, rest your ears, because your ear, you get into it's a muscle memory with your brain, and your ears get fatigued, and you start getting to it, and you start missing things that you're hearing in the mix, or you should be hearing. It goes in one ear and right out the other. And your music can do that for you. So just try to do that. But anyway, thought I'd jump on and just touch on that. If you're new in this business, and if you're not, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Just be cognitive of that. And anyway, I'll get on as much as I can and talk about what I can about production music, music licensing, and other things. It'd be cool. So anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next video. And until then, be cool. Thanks. Bye.